remember when I first opened the test, I was like, am I in the right test? Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel on this side of the internet. I'm so glad that you can join us because today we're going to be talking about how I passed the PANCE on my first time. And I'm assuming that if you're here, you know what the PANCE is, which is the exam that all physician assistant students have to take in order to become certified as a physician assistant and then be able to start working as a clinician. So I'm going to give you my 5-step plan for how I studied for and passed the PANCE on my very first try. And I'm telling you, if I was able to do it, then you can too. I don't care how much you struggled in PA school. I struggled so much in school the entirety of the time. But I still was able to pass on my first time. And I really feel like what I did at the end of my PA school journey, it really helped me to pass the PANCE. I really locked in at the end and did these 5 steps that I'm going to explain to you. And I have been a physician assistant now for 5 years, which is crazy that it has been this long. Now, I'm going to give you my 5-step plan for how I was able to pass the PANCE on my very first time. And I'm also going to include one bonus step. So stay tuned for that. So first of all, I just want to say, guys, I really did have a hard time in PA school. When it comes to my end of rotation exams, I was not really doing magnificently well on them. I even failed the last final exam, which was like everything that we have learned from beginning to end in PA school. And I believe I was the only one to have failed that test in my class, and I had to retake it in order to even be able to graduate school. So I'm telling you right now that if I can go from failing my final exam, which is supposed to give you an idea of how well you'll do on the PANCE in the next month or two, if I can go from failing that to passing the PANCE on my first time, then you can too. I struggled throughout most of PA school because I never really figured out how to study. And that might sound crazy if you are not in PA school or if you've never been in PA school, but learning how to study is so much of the battle of PA school. I tried listening to my lectures over and over, reading my notes over and over, highlighting, making flashcards, reading PANCE Prep Pearls, which is like the golden standard of PA school study material. I read that, highlighted that, made note cards from that. I used different videos and websites like Osmosis, MedGeeks, Online MedEd, practice questions from Rosh Review and everything. And I just feel that nothing really stuck. I never really found my lane when it came to how to study. So I would always just try out things here and there, and I never really found what worked for me. At the time that I took the test, if you did not pass it, then you would have to wait at least 6 months before taking it again. And I did not want to prolong that, so there was no other option for me than to pass on my first time. So this was my plan for how I did it. Okay, step 1, I figured out how I am going to study. I kind of looked back on my journey in PA school and all the exams that we took in PA school, and I tried to figure out, okay, Amber, what kind of learner are you? Are you someone who is an audio learner? Are you going to listen to podcasts? Is that going to help it stick? Is that going to help you understand? Are you a visual learner? Are you a hands-on learner? So for me, I'm a visual learner, and I really wanted to find videos that helped me learn. I really needed visual learning tools. I needed engaging lectures. I needed people to explain the material and break it down in a way that was engaging and interesting to me specifically. So it was a mix of video material and PANCE Prep Pearls and practice questions. That was my go-to studying style for how I knew I was going to accomplish passing the PANCE. So first step, how am I going to study? Figuring out how I'm going to study was very important because I knew I had to be organized and I had to be focused. So step 2 was figuring out my study schedule. So I knew that I had to go over material all the way from back when I first started PA school years ago. So I needed to go through every body system and kind of teach myself over because I didn't feel that confident learning the information the first time. So I knew I had to go through everything thoroughly again and make sure I really understood every body system from the beginning. I created my schedule by doing calendar blocking, which is a way to make sure that you stay on track and not procrastinate and waste time. So I would say, okay, Monday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. I'm going to study cardiology. Then from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. I'm going to do some practice questions. Then at noon I'm going to get myself some lunch. And so pretty much that's how I would just plan out the whole month. I knew I needed at least a month to study for the PANCE. And so I broke up my day by day by blocking out hours and assigning a task to each of those hours, because I knew that if I went into a day saying, okay, Monday I'm going to learn cardiology, I knew that I would not stay on task and stay focused and get everything I needed to out of the day. And then number 2, the Pomodoro method, which is a way of studying where you say, okay, I'm going to study for an hour, and then I'm going to take a 10-minute break, and then I'm going to get back to it in an hour. That is a really good way to make sure you don't get drained or you don't get burnt out. And next, that phone. It really be that phone. I would wake up and immediately put my phone in a whole nother room. It could not be in the same room with me at all, because it would definitely be a distraction. I just knew for myself I could not have my phone in the room at all. If I hear it buzzing or going off or anything, I will be distracted. So I knew I needed to get that into another room. And I would study from like 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day. I didn't want to study too long and then just be too overwhelmed and drained. So I had the evenings to have dinner, take a shower, whatever I needed to do to like feed into myself. After I made my schedule using the calendar blocking method, I was like, okay, so if things went according to plan, it would take me from this day to get through all the information that I needed to in order to pass the PANCE. And I went on the website and scheduled my test. And I scheduled it for about a month. I want to say like a month after school ended. So step 3 was coming across John Belinsky. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. Coming across his content was a lifesaver. I'm telling you right now, this was everything. If I did not come across his content, I would not have passed on my first time. I can pretty much guarantee that. So again, this is not sponsored, but I'm just saying, if you have not heard of John Belinsky and looked up his content, definitely do so, because he happened to have a course, and I believe it was a week, maybe it was 2 weeks, but it was a course that was very succinct, and it went over the major content that was going to be on the exam. So cardiology, pulmonology, GI, and musculoskeletal are the biggest portions of the exam, and he went into those so thoroughly. He was very engaging with his classes, and he taught it in a way that finally made things click in my head and finally made me understand after so long of not understanding that material. And he taught so many mnemonics and easy ways to remember things, and made things actually stick in my head instead of having information like be going in one ear and out the other. Like, everything was sticking and it actually made sense for the first time. And after taking his course, it actually made me have faith that for the first time, like, I actually might pass this test. Like, definitely recommend looking up John Belinsky and his content if you have not already. The 4th step on my 5-step plan to passing the PANCE on my first time was studying with Hippo Ed. This is another great resource, and I'm not sponsored by them at all either, but of course if they would like to sponsor me, that would be amazing, because I would bet so much money on Hippo Ed. I would not have passed if it wasn't for Hippo Ed as well. So Hippo Ed has a whole lot of content, and it has this course, the PANCE Review, which has very, very engaging and thorough videos for every single body system that is going to be on the PANCE. So the lecturers knew exactly what you needed to know to be able to pass the PANCE. They knew the content of the PANCE very, very well, and they did their lectures based on the blueprint of what was going to be on the PANCE. So it was like, cut the crap, there's not a lot of fluff, this is what you need to know, and this is how I'm going to present it to you in an engaging way that you're going to learn and have stick and actually be able to understand. They would break down every disease that was on the PANCE blueprint and the most common causes for it, the signs and symptoms, how to diagnose it, what would be on your differential, what imaging or labs or tests that you would need to be able to diagnose, and the treatment plan. So they went through every single thing you needed to know very thoroughly so you actually understood these conditions to the core. So they also had practice questions that were really, really good. Doing that spaced repetition method really helped the questions and the answers to stick in my head. So I highly, highly recommend Hippo Ed and John Belinsky's material. Alright guys, we made it to step 5. The last step I used to be able to pass the PANCE on my first time, which was Sketchy Farm. I recommend Sketchy Farm or Sketchy Micro to anyone. If you're visual learning like me, Sketchy Farm, Sketchy Micro are non-negotiables. I cannot say enough how much I love Sketchy Farm and Sketchy Micro, like to this day. It would literally be like a sketched out drawing of a scene and a story that incorporated medical information that helped you remember it. Really, really fun, funny, memorable videos that I still remember some of those videos to this day that really help you to learn microbiology and learn pharmacology so well, and it makes it feel like you're not even really studying because it's actually fun to watch the videos and the information actually stuck. So it wasn't like I had to watch them over and over and over in order to learn and remember the information. I just remember loving those videos so much, and some are still in my head to this day. And without Sketchy Farm, I don't know how I would have remembered all those medications. And none of this is sponsored, by the way. Nobody is sponsoring me. If they want to, I would definitely gladly accept. But definitely recommend Sketchy Farm, Sketchy Micro. And finally, the bonus step that I promised you guys in the beginning, the bonus step for how I passed the PANCE my first time, was changing my mindset. Like I said, I had such severe imposter syndrome and discouragement from PA school, not really finding my crowd, not really having a lot of friends, not really having a lot of people who looked like me. There was only one other black girl in my class, and we are tight and friends to this day, so shout out to you if you watch this video. But there weren't a lot of people who looked like me, came from the same place as me, had the same background as me, so that was hard to be able to like make friends and relate to people while in school. And I just had a really hard time. I found that people kind of didn't take me seriously a lot of times because I was a black woman, and I can go on and on about the struggles of black people in medicine or black women in medicine, but a lot of us have imposter syndrome, and I definitely was someone who did the whole time. I felt that it was really hard to study, really hard to learn information, really hard to be in that environment for so much of my time, really hard to sacrifice all that I need to sacrifice in order to be successful in school and in order to be successful studying for the PANCE. So I really had to change my mindset if I was going to pass the PANCE on my first time. I really had to come up with confidence that I did not have before. I really had to envision myself being someone who was able to learn this material, and I had to prove to myself that I was someone who would be able to accomplish this. The other thing that you really need to be able to pass the PANCE on the first time is just to be able to really focus and lock in, you guys. It's so much better to pass on the first time than to fail and then have to wait another 6 months and have to study all over again for months after the information is like kind of out of your brain. So you will have to miss out on birthday parties, you will have to miss out on going out to dinner and events and maybe vacations and spending time with friends, but it's only temporary. It's like delayed gratification. It's sacrifice in that time, but it's going to be so worth it when you're able to pass on your first time. And then the last thing that I did was finally when test day came, got a lot of sleep. Then I woke up on test day. I was just pumping myself up. I was like jogging and getting myself ready. I took a little like jogger in my backyard and I played the song Pump, Pump, Pump It Up. I was really getting myself excited and pumped up and in a good mindset and mind frame to be able to knock this test out. And that's what I did. I'm not saying that if you do these 5 steps, it's going to make the PANCE easy. The PANCE was not easy. Even though I passed, it was so hard. And there were so many questions on the test that I was like, what is this? Is this a trick question? I remember when I first opened the test, I was like, am I in the right test? I was like, does this say physician assistant? I did not study this information. It was still a very, very difficult test. Obviously, they're not going to allow people to take an easy test and then become a clinician and be in charge of people's lives. So it was hard, but I was able to do it based on these 5 things. And I was so incredibly happy when I finally got those results. Those 2 weeks from taking the test and getting the results were excruciating. But I was so happy and so proud of myself that I just locked in and I was able to pull this out for myself. If you are someone who struggled through PA school or had imposter syndrome or was very discouraged or failed a lot of exams or maybe had to take time off and come back or whatever the case may be, if you're someone who struggled or someone who's not confident in taking the PANCE and the PANCE is coming up for you, I hope anything in my 5-step plan works for you. If not, I hope you find the resources that work for you because the same things that work for me are not going to work for everybody. So I hope you find what works for you and I hope you just lock in and are able to pass the PANCE on your first time. Nobody gets this far in PA school if they're not able to pass the PANCE. So if you're discouraged, just remember, if you made it this far in PA school, you're able to pass the PANCE on your first time. So I hope this video was helpful to you. If you did anything in my 5-step plan and you took the PANCE and you passed it on your first time, please come back and share with us. I would love to hear in the comments about your story, your journey, what you did to be able to pass. Good luck. You got this. See you next time. Bye.